Hello everyone, it's been a while since I've done an edited upload. Sorry for the break I've had for the last few weeks since I released Kyogre. I've been working offline on just improving all of my overlays and just making them way more efficient. For those of you who don't know, I use a software called GameHook to pull stats and stuff from the game in real time, which allows my overlay to automatically update every single time I level up and stuff like that. But now with them all improved, they're going to work way better and function way better, and they should hopefully stop lagging like they did before. Anyway, today we will be doing Pokemon Emerald with Arbok. This was the winner of a poll a while back, but I'm behind on him, so we'll be doing this. The next one's going to be Crystal with Murkrow, and then after that, I'll go back to the polls. Anyway, let's talk about what kind of Pokemon we're dealing with here. Arbok is a Poison-type Cobra Pokemon from Generation 1 with a base stat total of 448. Our stats are pretty well rounded for the most part, but we also have 95 attack, which is actually a lot higher than I thought it was. I thought it was going to be like 70 or something. And we also have a nice amount of defense. A special attack is not that bad, but attack is better. And we have 80 speed. That's going to outspeed most tough foes once we get some EVs going on. And also, we'll have two abilities, Intimidate and Shed Skin. Intimidate lowers the foe's attack upon entering battle. Shed Skin has a chance of healing her own status condition, so that's the ability we're going with here. And it does come in clutch a lot in the run. And to start with, we're going to have Bite, Leer, Poison Sting, and Wrap. Poison Sting is a very weak move, Wrap is a weak move, Bite is 60 base power, which is very, very good. Believe it or not, this is our most powerful move by level up, if you don't include Stab. Well, honestly, if you do include Stab, Acid's also going to be 60 base power, but man, the reason Arbok is always claimed to be a bad Pokemon is mainly because of its level up moveset. Like, this is just not a good level up moveset at all. But why don't we look in the TM department and see what we can get? It looks like our best moves are going to be Return, Iron Tail, Earthquake, Dig, Sludge Bomb, and Secret Power. So at least we got Sludge Bomb, the most powerful poison move in the game. And if you also take a look at our Emerald leaderboard, first place is currently Starmie with a time of 2 hours and 5 minutes. Do you guys think Arbok can beat that time? Only one way to find out. Let's get into the run. As usual, the time starts upon loading in the save file after we have our starter. So you guys may notice a few changes with the overlay. I moved the reset counter right next to the Pokemon in the top left so it's not blocking the gameplay. And those green numbers you see in the bottom left of the screen right next to the stats, HP, attack, defense, special defense, and speed, those are my EVs. For those of you who don't know, in Generation 3, they replaced the stat experience from Gen 1 and Gen 2, which went all the way up to 65,535, with the EV system. Basically, each stat can go up to 255 EVs, but you can only have a grand total of 510 across everything. So that's only enough to max out 2 different stats all the way. And each Pokemon give out a different EV depending on its species. Some Pokemon give like 1 attack EV, some give 2 attack EVs, some Pokemon actually give 2 different ones, like 1 defense and 1 special defense, for example, so that's going to be quite nice to know. And also, generally in the early game of Emerald, a lot of Pokemon give out speed EVs, like Zigzagoon, Poochyena, Tailo. A lot of generally fast Pokemon give speed EVs, so we're bound to get plenty of those. After I defeat the trainers on Route 102 for the experience, I go and catch my own Zigzagoon. This run, I ended up catching a Zigzagoon very, very early. Usually I have to backtrack to this route in order to find one, because these are only like a 20% encounter rate, I believe. But I just encountered it before I was even done facing the trainers. That's actually quite impressive. And then once my flyer is obtained, and I defeat most of the trainers up to Rustboro City, I am nowhere near ready to face Roxanne with only Bite. I mean, yes, Bite is a special move, and the rock types tend to have high defense, but I'm not going to be able to survive hits that well, so I think it'd be a good idea to train on the surrounding routes as well. But before I show any of that training, I want to show you guys my new improved double battle overlay. Instead of how I used to do it before, when I had to like switch OBS scenes to like show double battle, my HTML overlay will literally pop out the second Pokemon right there. I mean, yes, it's smaller, but I have to make it fit somehow. And then once the battle's over, it goes away. I'm just really proud of it. I hope you guys liked it as well. It was definitely a lot of work to get to work right. Once I enter Rustboro City, I heal at the center, get the HM for cut since I generally forget to get it like an idiot, and then I go train on Route 116 to the east, and once all that's done, I can go back to the gym, take out the gym trainers, and take on the rock-type gym leader, Roxanne. First up is her Geodude. I start off with a bite that kills it in one hit, although that was most likely thanks to a crit. The second one lives at under half health left, and then it gets off a rock tomb lowering my speed. But luckily, since the Geodude are quite slow, I'm still able to outspeed it and eventually take it out. Next up is the Nose Pass. I am still outspeeding it, and Bite is really not doing that much. I mean, this thing has 35 special defense. Like, special moves aren't as good on rock types as they were in Fire Red and Leaf Green or other games. Like, this Nose Pass is a tank, and then it is able to survive my incoming hits, and I get my first reset. On the next attempt, I make it back to Nose Pass, and I keep on spamming Bite over and over again, but unfortunately the damage just racks up way too much. Because in Gen 3, when the AI detects that you're faster than it, it'll prioritize speed control moves like Rock Tomb, Thunder Wave, Stun Spore, Scary Face, that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to go back and heal at the center and try one more time. And then I actually make it back to the Nose Pass at full HP. Come on, can this be the winning attempt? I use Bite, it goes for a block for some reason, even though I wasn't going to switch anyway. And then I just keep going for Bite, it goes for Tackle, and it hit a Rock Tomb. Man, it was going so good, like I almost took it out. Okay, will fourth time be the charm? This thing basically just keeps missing Rock Tomb, and then I keep flinching it, but then when it does manage to land a Rock Tomb, it's a critical hit. But luckily in the last minute, it doesn't go for Rock Tomb, instead goes for Tackle, allowing me to live, and I finally get the Stone Badge. Man, that was not as easy as I thought it was going to be. Well, it's a good thing I have these 15 defense EVs. Man, I'm so glad I put that in there. Anyway, once I rescue Pico from Team Aqua, I go back to Rustboro City, buy some repels and potions at the mart, and I go all the way back to Bryony's cottage, and I set sail to Dewford Town. And then once I enter Dewford Town, I go straight into the Granite Cave so I can go deliver a letter to Stephen Stone. At the beginning here, there actually is an escape rope, so I can escape out of here right afterwards. But we're not going to use it just yet, because after we manage to get through to the end and deliver the letter, we're given the TM for Steel Wing, although we can't learn that move, but for some Pokemon, it will be helpful. Anyway, but before I can escape rope out, I have to let the repel run out and catch a Strength user. There's like 3 different Pokemon here that can learn Strength. Aaron, Makuhita, and Geodude. So once I find one of those 3, I can just catch it in a Great Ball and get out. And from here, I can do one of 2 things. Fight Brawly, or I can go move on and just ignore him for now. Because you can skip him up until before Norman. But before I make that choice, I talk to this guy and get the Silk Scarf to boost my normal moves by 10%. I don't really want to boost Wrap by 10%, but this will help once I get Return. And anyway, my choice was, I ended up just skipping Brawly for now because Bite is resisted by his Pokemon, and I am not taking his team on with Wrap and Poison Sting. That's just not gonna happen. Once I'm finished grinding on the trainers on the beach, I return the machine parts to Captain Stern, and after I chase Team Aqua out of the building, I go north to Route 110, and I defeat every single trainer I can before the next rival battle. Cause thing is, the next gym leader we're gonna have to face is Watson, and his team in Emerald is very, very difficult. He has a Voltorb and a Manectric, which aren't that difficult to deal with unless the Voltorb decides to blow itself up. The Magneton, which is immune to poison, so I would have to take it out with Bite and Wrap. And Steel resists Dark in this generation, so that is not going to be that good. And afterwards, he has a Manectric, which will finish me off if the Magneton doesn't anyway. But anyway, while I was grinding, I actually end up learning Glare, and I teach it right away over Wrap. So Glare is a move that'll cause paralysis, but it'll actually work on electric types. So it'll also work on the Magneton too. So my main strategy is to paralyze the Magneton and spam Bite the entire time and hope I get lucky with either flinches or getting inflicted with paralysis, because if I can get enough of those to line up, I can definitely win the fight quite easily. But before I can even think about that, I still have more training to do. After I finish the secret house, I talk to this guy and get the rare candy. Or not secret house, trick house. And then once I get the rare candy, I fight the rest of the trainers that I can, and I can take on Rival 2, the hardest rival battle in the entire game. Which isn't saying much because there's only 3 fights in the whole game. Brendan starts off with Wingle, and I send out Arbok. I start off by using a bite to do less than half, but luckily it doesn't go for growl, so I move on without getting a growl. And then on the Combustion, since fighting resists dark, I go turn 1 with Glare, but unfortunately it burns me. But this is where Shed Skin comes in handy. I'm able to get rid of that burn quite easily. And then I pretty much just start by spamming Poison Sting, because Bite is resisted, but now that I think about it, I probably should have just gone for Bite, because there's always the chance of a flinch, and I can't really poison a Pokemon that's paralyzed, but I end up losing this fight due to a critical hit Ember. On the next attempt, I almost get it down, but unfortunately it crits me and leaves me at 1 hit point left, and then the Lombre only takes a third from Bite, and it's able to knock me out. But you won't believe this though, on the next attempt, the exact same thing happens. The Combustion crits me and leaves me on 1 hit point for the Lombre to take me out. Okay, this is becoming quite irritating. I think I've had more resets on this fight than Roxanne. If not, then about the same number, but I hope it doesn't become more. On the next attempt, I'm able to take down the Combustion without getting any critical hits, but I am left at 8 hit points though. And then I realized that Poison Sting will actually do more to the Lombre. I hit it with Poison Sting, it hits me back, but it only deals 4 damage, and then I'm able to take his whole team out. Man, that fight could have gone way better. After I finish training up on the rest of the trainers here, I enter Mauville City, where I proceed to do a few things. I get the HM for Rock Smash, choose the Mach Bike for faster transportation, heal at the Pokemon Center, show Wally who's boss since he's pathetic and he's always a loser, and then before I can take on Watson, obviously, I'm going to take out every single trainer in the surrounding area. It's a good thing in Emeralds there are just so many trainers here, because so many Pokemon that I do in these runs just struggle with Watson. Even Pokemon that have a super effective move like Dig, or are resistant to electric moves, it doesn't matter. Like, Watson just gives a hard time to pretty much everybody. So this training is definitely going to be worth it. So why don't we skip ahead a bit and just go straight to after we finish this training. Well, once I finish up the training, I get to level 30, and you also may notice I have the black glasses. This is an item that boosts dark type moves by 10%, and where I got these is you just enter Rustboro Tunnel, you go out a little secret entrance, and then you just find them as a hidden item. So this item will definitely help with Bite, especially since we're going to have to rely on it for the upcoming gym battle with Watson. Let's get into it. He starts out with his Voltorb. On turn 1, I go for a Bite and it does over half, and it uses Spark. Luckily it doesn't paralyze me. Next up is Electrike. I go for a Bite and unfortunately Static lands, and I'm just having to hope at this point Shed Skin will activate in time. Don't get it just yet. I go for a Screech and then a Bite. Finally I get the Shed Skin and I can move on to Magneton. So now what I do is go for Glare, which luckily lands because that move does have a chance at missing. And once it's paralyzed, I just go into Bite Town. Because here's the thing, even if Magneton uses its own Thunder Wave, guess what? I have Shed Skin. Shed Skin also works with Confusion as well, I believe. So even when I'm paralyzed, Shed Skin will activate, getting rid of it, and the Magneton's going to want to go for Thunder Wave again. So hopefully it won't attack, because Sonic Boom is going to deal a lot of damage. And then on the first attempt, I'm able to take down the Magneton with a critical hit Bite. Now, for the Manectric. I start off with a Bite doing a quarter. That was a bad idea. I should have gone for Glare, because this thing has a Citrus Berry, which heals a lot of HP in this generation. And then I get the Manectric down to what looks like 1 HP left, and then it uses a quick attack, and I lose. I definitely should have glared there. Let's see if I learn my lesson on the next attempt. Well, it's not going to be this attempt. By the time I defeat the Magneton, I'm at 6 HP left, and this thing can use quick attack. Alright, the next attempt, the Magneton just straight up destroyed me. Because look at it, I didn't even deal any damage. Okay, fourth attempt, can I please get a win? Like, this fight takes a lot of time. I am able to take out the Magneton with 66 HP to spare, and then on the Manectric, I use a turn 1 Glare. And now I just go into Bite Town. This whole situation is basically similar to the Magneton. So let's just hopefully Shed Skin gets rid of it. It does. I keep going for Bite, it paralyzes me with static, and then we're both paralyzed at the same time, twice in a row. And then I get this thing down to low HP, and quick attack. Okay, I'm back at the Manectric, 56 HP left. Can you please be nice to me, Watson? Please, I am absolutely begging you. Okay, finally. That took quite more tries than I thought it would, but hey, at least I get the Dynamo badge along with a 10% boost to my speed stat. Since my speed really isn't that good, it's going to be quite helpful to have this. And then with Watson out of the way, I can now get access to a bunch of really good moves. Or at least improvements over Poison Sting. First things first, I go up to Route 111, and I get the TM for Secret Power. This is a 70 base power normal type move, with a chance to paralyze in a normal environment. So that'll be like the overworld, stuff like that. So for most trainer battles, we'll have a chance to paralyze. And once I enter Falabar Town, after I heal at the center and buy some super potions, I actually pick up this hidden nugget right here that's always helpful when I need to sell it for more money for vitamins. And then I get the TM for Dig. Arbok can learn both Dig and Earthquake, so Dig will definitely hold us over until Earthquake, especially since the Fire type gym is coming up. But before I go into Meteor Falls to progress the storyline, I pick up this protein right here. As you can see, I only have 18 attack EVs, and then when I use a protein, I'm at 28. So this thing will give you 10 EVs, but it'll cap out at 100. But you did hear me say earlier, it goes up to 255. While yes, the vitamins only go up to 100, and it'll lock at 100. So for example, if you have 97 attack EVs and you use a protein, it won't leave you at 107, which is plus 10, it'll leave you at 100. So using a vitamin that high is honestly quite a waste. But it's good to get it maxed out early while you can. I mean, look at my speed, it's already at 50, I haven't even used a single Carbos yet. Anyway, it's time to stop drooling over my EV stats. I have to talk to Team Aqua and Team Magma, progress the story, and then I go down through Rustboro City all the way to Verdendorf Town, and then I get the HM for Strength from this lever right here, and then I can go through Mauville City and go all the way back up to the cable car. In the last run I recorded with Arbok, because I deleted the old footage because it had the bad overlay, I actually did encounter the hiker, but unfortunately since that footage is no longer here, we're going to claim I haven't seen him yet. So can we see him this time? Nope, maybe another day. Oh well, let's go fight Maxie of Team Magma. Maxie starts out with Mightyena and I send in Arbok. Unfortunately, its Intimidate means my physical attacks are going to be doing less damage. And then after that, it gets off a Sand Attack, and right now I'm put in a really bad position, especially since it looks like Secret Power is only doing a third HP to it. But luckily, I don't miss too many times and I can move on to the Camerupt. So what I do here is I dig underground, and then I come back up, and Dig doesn't quite knock it out, and then I make for the mistake of going for it again, and then Magnitude hits me underground, doing double damage, and I get a reset. On the next attempt, the whole fight with Mightyena goes pretty similarly, except I get a bit more lucky without missing, and then on the Camerupt, I use Dig yet again, and then I learned my lesson from next time, and then I just use Bite. And then now finally is his scary Zubat. I really don't know what to do if this thing lands a Supersonic or uses a Bite wing attack. So yeah, it's a good thing I was able to deal with it while I could. Phew. Now with Mount Chimney safe for now, I can go down to Lava Ridge Town, and then I can go take on the 4th gym leader, Flannery. She starts off with Numel and I send out Arbok. On turn 1, I use a Dig, and then I go underground and it uses a Sunny Day. You may have noticed an image prompt pop up over there. I no longer have an image overlay for Sunny Day because I just can't find a good one. So I had to fix that in the overlay, but it's okay. It was only there for like a second. Anyway, on the Camerupt here, luckily it doesn't have Magnitude like Maxie, so it's safe to use Dig. Although the Torkoal is going to be quite interesting because its defense stat is super enormous. It tried to use Overheat when I was underground, and then when I came back up it only went for a weak Body Slam, which actually kind of surprised me. Then when I went back underground, I was able to Dig it again, and then I can just use Bite to finish it off and win on the first try. Man, I can't believe Flannery went that easy, but hey, I'm not complaining. And now before I go back to Petalburg City to fight Norman, I get the Route 111 Desert Rare Candy, and then I go all the way down to Slateport City where I have to buy a couple of things. I buy the TM for Hidden Power. I'll tell you what our type is later in the video. And then today's vitamin of the day is protein. Because Arbok has really good attack, my speed is alright, I'm not going to be relying on my special attack too much, so I decided protein was the good way to go. And before I can take on Norman, there is one gym leader I've skipped this whole time, so let's take on Brawly. I'm not even going to do an intro for it, his whole team is literally a series of one-shots. Okay, now we can go fight an actual gym leader, Norman, the normal type gym leader. Funny thing is, before I show you guys the Norman battle, I actually blacked out on a random trainer, and I ended up all the way back at Lava Ridge Town, so I had to go all the way back to Petalburg. Yeah, that was quite a huge time loss, but anyway, why don't we just get on to the fight now. He starts off with Spinda, and I send out Arbok. I use a bite to do around a third, and I managed to flinch it twice somehow, but it uses a hyper potion to get back to full, and then I realized secret power is doing more, so I probably should have stuck to that. Next up is the Vigoroth. Secret power is actually doing less than half, so it's going to be a 3-hit, but luckily Norman already wasted his 1 hyper potion, so that goes down. Next up, Linoon goes down in 2 secret powers, and next up is his actual threat, Slacking. I start off by using Dig, and it fails a counter. Dig is one of the best ways to actually cheese this fight, because when you're underground, that's the one turn he attacks. Although I get a bit too cocky, and I use a secret power to paralyze it, and then it uses Yawn, which is honestly quite bad. Because here's the thing though, it can use a Facade, or the paralysis can mess things up, and it's able to attack while I'm above ground with counter. So yeah, let's try that fight again. Once I get back to Slacking, I do the original strat of just spamming Dig all the way through. But unfortunately, I was choosing to be cocky again, and then I use Bite, and then it attacks me for the knockout. Okay, many resets later, I finally get this run where I actually decide to just spam Dig the whole time. Even though it's doing little damage, doing it this way, I will not get hit a single time. And here's the thing, even if it decides to heal with a full restore, guess what, it'll be fine. Although the Slacking does have a Citrus Berry, which doesn't heal as much HP due to it having a lot more health to work with. But here's the thing, by the time I run out of Dig, it is only around at a third HP left, and then I finally take it down to red health, and now I can just use a secret power for the knockout. Yeah, this is what I should have done in the first place, so my resets are definitely going to be overinflated. After the battle, Wally's dad gives me the HM for Surf, and now I can use it to get some rare candies. I get this 1 rare candy in Petalburg City, and I also get the rare candy on Route 108 in the water, as well as in Route 110 on this small little island right here. And with those rare candies obtained for now, I go all the way through Route 119 up to the Weather Institute, where I chase off Team Aqua, get a useless cast form with a Mystic Water, and then before I do Rival 3, I actually realized a major error. I forgot to get Sludge Bomb, and I need Sludge Bomb to deal with Winona. You actually can't get Sludge Bomb until after you beat Norman, so I was supposed to surf down to Dewford after Petalburg, but I actually forgot, so I had to walk all the way back, surf on down, find another protein luckily, which I wasn't expecting, so I'll just take that. And then anyway, once I get Sludge Bomb, I can actually teach it over Secret Power, and then I can make it all the way back to Fortress City. And after obtaining Sludge Bomb, there's another TM I forgot to get. I forgot to return the meteorite on Mount Chimney to get the TM for return from Professor Cosmo. I could have done this later with Fly now that I think about it, because it wasn't return I needed right away. Actually, no, wait, yeah, it was return right away, because I need a move to deal with Winona's Skarmory, and return's going to be my main way of doing that. Alright, with all that stuff obtained, I can take on Rival 3 quite easily. No need for an intro, because Rival 1 and Rival 3 are just that terrible. So let's just completely ignore him and get to Fortress City. And then I proceed east, where I help out Steven Stone with the Devon Scope, and then he just gives it to me so I can chase off the Kecleon blocking Winona's gym, and then I can enter the gym and take her on. She starts off with Swablu. I use a turn 1 Sludge Bomb for the 1 hit. Next up is Altaria. I use another Sludge Bomb, it poisons, and then unfortunately it uses Earthquake, but then I knock it out with Return. And here is the Skarmory. This is the one hard opponent. Return is only doing a quarter damage, and it just raised this defense with Steel Wing, so now my attacks are doing like a 7th, I want to say, but then I eventually get knocked out. On the next attempt, I make it back to Altaria, and instead of Earthquake, it goes for Dragon Dance. This is what I wanted to see, since the Altaria is generally quite slow, so I should be able to outspeed it after 1 Dragon Dance. But unfortunately, I do not outspeed it, and Earthquake does even more damage. I actually realized that during the run, when it used 1 Dragon Dance, Altaria's speed became 102, 3 speed higher than I am. And once I realized this, I went and fought the rest of the trainers in the gym to get to level 43 to a high enough level where I can outspeed her entire team. I even fought a few of the trainers on Route 120 because the gym trainers weren't enough. But anyway, once I get to level 43, with the badge boost, I am at 103 speed, which is 1 speed higher than I needed, which is actually perfect. And then I can take on Altaria, so now let's see how well the Skarmory does. I use 1 return for a quarter, another one for a quarter, 2 Steel Wings in a row. Luckily the defense isn't going up, Steel Wing missed, and I take it out. Okay, now the Tropius is weak to poison, so that's an easy 1 hit. And the next finally is her Pelipper. This thing normally just likes to spam Protect whenever it gets the chance, and it's usually very annoying, but nothing we need to worry about here, so let's proceed with the run. After I get Winona's badge and I'm able to successfully use Fly, I actually fly back to Slateport and buy a couple more vitamins. I never did this before, but since I finally see what my EV spread is, I actually know how many vitamins I can use. So I buy 2 proteins and 1 Carbos. I would have bought more Carbos to max out my speed, but I didn't have enough money. I can always come back later if I need to. Anyway, I go through routes 120 and 121, and then I enter Lily Cove City to set it as a fly point. But before I do anything there, I actually realized I actually forgot to get a rare candy, so I flew back to Four Tree City and I cut these couple of trees right here for a hidden rare candy, and then I fly back to Lily Cove City, use the Pokemon Center, and then I head towards Mount Pyre. But before I actually enter the place, I actually go south a bit, cut down this tree, and then right here I can get another rare candy. And then I also need the move Giga Drain for the champion fight, but something I never realized till now, this girl doesn't give it to you unless you have a grass type Pokemon in your team. I never realized this because all the runs I've done so far where I've used Giga Drain, they were all grass types anyway. I thought she just straight up gave it to you, so I'm gonna have to catch a grass type later and then come back when I get the chance. Anyways, I chase off Team Aqua on top of Mount Pyre, and then the old couple give me the Magma emblem so I can start off with the Team Magma, Team Aqua side quest. Before I leave and do that, I get another rare candy that's right nearby, and then I fly to Lava Ridge Town, go up the cable car to the top of Mount Chimney, still no hiker, and then I can go down and enter the Magma hideout. What I do here is basically the same almost every time. There is a rare candy here that's quite a ways out of the way, but since Arbok is only a mid-average Pokemon, I do decide to get it, and there is also an item here that's really good. It's called the PP Max. This is basically 3 PP ups in one, because for all 4 of your moves, you can only use a maximum of 3 PP ups, and a PP Max will just bring it all the way up. So I like to save this for my most used move, so I can save some elixirs. And then once I get the PP Max, I use it on Sludge Bomb, and then I had 1 extra PP up, so I just use it on return. And with a few more Magma Grunts taken out, I am almost finished with this place, but I gotta take on Maxie again. Hopefully this fight isn't as difficult as it was last time, but this all depends on the Mightyena. Sludge Bomb turn 1 does more than a half, Swagger puts me at +1 at my attack due to the Intimidate, and then I hit myself in Confusion doing not too much. If it weren't for Intimidate, that would have been way worse. I hit myself again, and then I managed to take it out. Next up is the Camerupt. I try to use a return, but I hit myself and I knock myself out. On the next attempt, I make it to the Camerupt with a lot of HP, and then I try and go for a return, I hit myself, and then the Camerupt goes for Earthquake. Man, last time it was Sand Attack messing me up, this time it's Swagger. On the third attempt, I make it back to the Camerupt. I use Dig by mistake, but then once I realize what I did, I can actually just go for Return. Because here's the thing, you don't want to use Dig on the Camerupt because that thing's got Earthquake. But, I mean, it technically wasn't on purpose because the Mighty Yenna actually switched out while I was doing this. So that's the reason Dig hit the Camerupt. And then on his final Crobat, 1 or 2 returns will do the trick easily. After Team Magma is chased out of their own hideout, I dig out of here with Arbok, go fly to Slaveport City, see Team Aqua steal a submarine, and then now I have to go to their hideout in Lily Cove City. But before I enter there, I learned this from Scott's Thoughts in one of his Emerald runs. There's actually a PP up right here. It's literally on the way there, so there's basically no reason not to get it. When I enter the Aqua hideout, I always get 2 things here. I always get the Max Elixir because it really helps out in the Elite Four, and I also get a Master Ball because I still have to catch a Tentacool for Waterfall and Dive. But other than that, this place was pretty uneventful, so why don't we move on to Moss Deep City. This is where the next gym is that's basically the most difficult gym in the entire run. Tate and Liza, because you have to fight 2 Pokemon against 1. I mean, yes, I have to send out HM users, but all they do is basically distract the opponents with other moves. Like, they might draw their attention towards the weaker Pokemon while I get a chance to set up or something. But still, that fight's going to be quite difficult, so why don't we quit stalling and just see how the first attempt goes. Tate and Liza send out Claydol and Xatu, and I send out Arbok and Tailo. I send out Tailo for a specific reason, so the Claydol will not use Earthquake right away, because that will be devastating to Arbok. And also, you may notice I have Hidden Power on my moveset, and it's really helping out in this fight. My Hidden Power type is actually the best Hidden Power if you're a physical attacker and you struggle with this gym. Hidden Power Ghost. Because all of Hidden Power Ghost will deal super effective damage to all of their Pokemon, and my attack is honestly quite good. Not often you see an attack stat that's same as your HP. But unfortunately on the first attempt, since a 2v1 is still very difficult and I'm weak to Psychic, this first attempt ends quite poorly. On the next attempt, I'm down to just Xatu and Lunatone. I'm able to knock out the Lunatone and then the Soul Rock comes out, but unfortunately I am not able to survive enough. In my notes, I was supposed to be a minimum level of 55, but I thought with the EVs this would be enough, but it sure definitely was not. So I buy a bunch of Max Repels, and I fight a lot of trainers that are in the water. I basically went from here all the way to Pacific Logtown. And while I was in Pacific Logtown, I fight all the trainers to the west of there, and I also got a rare candy that's there. I don't often get this rare candy, but it'll definitely help out with the Elite Four. Once I finish all of the training, I get to level 53. 53 with EVs should be plenty, so let's see how the first attempt goes. Actually, scratch that. I actually ended up using 2 rare candies to level 55, so I'm gonna have to do some extra training in Victory Road to make up for that. Anyway, with Hidden Power Ghost and level 55, I'm able to do a lot more damage to their Pokemon. Plus, I actually one-hit KO the Xatu now, which is actually really helpful. And then once all my HM users are gone, I use 1 Hidden Power Ghost on the Claydol, but I keep putting it back into red health, and then Lunatone uses Hypnosis, but Shed Skin wears it off. I don't know how that works, but okay. And then I am able to knock out the Claydol, and now it's just Lunatone and Solrock. The Lunatone already has 1 Calm Mind set up, and it is able to knock me out. When I make it back to the next attempt on Lunatone and Solrock, Lunatone actually goes down in 1 hit from Hidden Power Ghost, and can I get the Solrock to go down in 1 hit? And nope, because the Solrock has more defense than Lunatone, but it doesn't matter, I'm finally able to win this fight. Man, I mean, I knew it was going to be a struggle, but Arbok didn't really struggle as much as I thought. It's just lucky it has a 95 attack stat. Next up is another part of the run that's quite random and quite difficult. Difficult because it's random. I have to liberate the space station from Team Magma, but in order to do that, I have to help Steve and Stone take on Team Magma in a multi-battle. So let's do this. The reason I say this fight is quite random is because I cannot control what the other Pokemon does. Sometimes the Metang sucks, sometimes it just uses powerful Psychic and Metal Claw. So let's see how the first attempt goes. Mightyena sets up an Intimidate. The Metang is immune from it because of its ability to clear body, so its stats cannot be lowered or raised by the opponent. And then while I'm underground, I use one dig to knock out that Camerupt. Next up is the Golbat. I then use Return on the Golbat while the Metang just did whatever it wanted to, and then unfortunately with two Mightyenas on the field, two Pokemon with Intimidate, my attack is basically down to regular, so it cancelled out the swagger I had to endure earlier. And now Maxie's Camerupt is out. I can't really use the dig strategy on it because unlike Tabitha's Camerupt, Maxie's Camerupt has Earthquake, but luckily a critical hit move is able to take it out. And now we're down to just Mightyena and Crobat. I start off by using a Sludge Bomb on the Mightyena, the Metang went for a Metal Claw on it, and then I got hit with a Swagger and I hit myself. So now I'm on really low HP. That is not good. And then it uses Takedown, I somehow live, and then I hit myself in confusion for the loss. Man, that was such a long loss to have to narrate over. Yeah, here's the funny thing. Remember how I said this fight is so random? Check this out. I already defeated all of Tabitha's Pokemon, and I'm not confused, and the swagger I endured in this fight canceled out the Intimidates from the Mightyena, so look at this. I'm still in green health when I win this fight, so this is what I mean about the fight being hard because it's so random. Nothing I can really do about that though. I then follow Steven Stone back to his house where he gives me the HM for Dive. This will allow me to dive underwater and go chase after Team Aqua. So then I enter the seafloor cavern where they are hiding, but before I go take on their leader, I get the TM for Earthquake. This move is going to replace Dig since it is 100 base power, and it's going to be a really good addition to the moveset. So with this great move on my overlay, let's get on with Archie. To be honest, this fight is pretty much similar to any Maxi battle, except Sharpedo is a lot less threatening than Camerupt, because Camerupt has moves like Ember and Earthquake or Magnitude, while the Sharpedo just has moves like Slash, Crunch, Bite. It's just not really that good. Plus its defensive stats are just downright awful. Alrighty, now I want to face the final gym leader, but I have to do all the legendary Pokemon side quests, so why don't I just skip all that and go straight to the final gym leader, Juan. Juan starts off with Love Disc and I send out Arbok. Return does do the one hit to Love Disc, so that's good to see. Next up, the Whiscash has a lot of defense and HP, so it is able to survive a return, but it wastes its one turn with an Amnesia, so it pretty much did nothing to me. Next up is the Kingdra. This thing likes to do Resto Chesto strats, or double team, but luckily two Sludge Bombs are able to land and take it out. And then on Celio, I use one Sludge Bomb for the one hit, and now on his final Pokemon Crawdaunt, one Sludge Bomb almost takes it out. Almost. So let's see if the second one does. Alright, it looks like Return didn't really work either, but then again, it doesn't matter. Juan was really easy. And I get all the gym badges with a time of 2 hours and 23 minutes and 10 seconds. That is not a bad time, although we are definitely past Starmie's time now. So it looks like the best we can hope for is probably 3rd place. Why don't we see? But first, we gotta go over to Victory Road. But before I go to Victory Road, I have to get a couple of rare candies I couldn't get before. I go to Route 114 to get this rare candy blocked by Waterfall. I fly back to Mauville to switch to the Acro Bike, and then I go to Route 119 to get this rare candy right here, which you can only get if you have the Acro Bike. I know there's a rare candy where you need the Mach Bike in Granite Cave, but that item is so hard to get to with all the broken floor tiles, it's just not worth getting. I went for it in my Aggron video, and I pretty much lost like 10 whole minutes getting it. It was not worth it. Anyway, once I get those 2 rare candies, I can enter Victory Road, where I can take on Wally. Hopefully this time Wally can actually put up a fight. He starts off with Altaria and I send out Arbok. I start off with a turn 1 Sludge Bomb and it actually goes down to a critical hit surprisingly. And then on the Gardevoir, since it's not a fairy type, it's not weak to poison, but Sludge Bomb is still enough for the one hit. And then on Delcatty, I went with Return, although I probably should have just stuck with Sludge Bomb. Oh well. On the Magneton, it's 4 times weak to Earthquake, so that takes care of it easily, and then 1 return knocks out the Roselia, and I just completely destroyed Wally. Nice try, Wally. You'll always be a loser. Anyway, since I used a couple of rare candies before Tate and Liza to get to level 55, I'm gonna have to do a bit of extra training in here. So I fight pretty much almost every trainer in Victory Road, and then by the time I get to the end of Victory Road, I get to level 62. Although it was on a pretty close fight since I almost got killed by a Slacking. But level 62 is still quite a nice level. It's not enough to use all my rare candies yet, so I'm hoping to get an extra level or 2 in the Elite Four. So after healing at the center and buying some full restores, I prepare myself for the final 5 trainers. Let's do this shit. First up is Elite Four member Sydney, who starts with Mighty Yenna. This Pokemon is definitely getting quite old. Luckily, Sludge Bomb does around 3/4 HP to it, but then I get hit with a Sand Attack, so I decide to reset right away because it really wasn't worth it. But when I got back into the next attempt, I realized Sand Attack is just kind of inevitable. Like, there's no way I'm avoiding this thing. It's pretty much always going to go for a turn 1 Sand Attack, so I'm just going to have to luck my way through this. But luckily, on this attempt I was on, I just kept hitting every single Sludge Bomb on everything, and then on the Absol, I take it out with 2 returns. But unfortunately, due to the Citrus Berry, I wasn't able to take it out completely, so now I have to get 2 returns in a row, or a return in Sludge Bomb, and luckily I missed 0 moves. That was close. Elite Four member Phoebe leads with Dusclops, but why am I even talking to this person like she's a hard fight? Like, I have Hidden Power Ghost. Hidden Power Ghost is gonna do devastating work to pretty much all of her Pokemon. Although, as I was saying this, the Dusclops was being a troll with Confuse Ray and Protect. I'm lucky it didn't use Curse, because if it managed to land Curse, it would be an instant reset, because in this game, Curse does 25% of your max HP every turn, and defeating a Pokemon, it'll still get hit with Curse on that same turn, unlike in Gen 2. So, if that fight, if you get hit with Curse, you pretty much have to reset. There's no way out of it. Here's the thing, when I actually got to the Sableye, it actually got me to very low health. I won this fight with 6 HP left, but hey, at least it was on the first try. On Elite Four member Glacia, I used all of my rare candies to get to level 75, which was the minimum level needed for the Wallace battle. But with my level being this high, Glacia just provided no issues at all. So let's move on to the Elite Four member Drake. On his Shelgon, I use a Sludge Bomb, and unfortunately it lives on like 3 or so HP, and that gives it the opportunity to use Rock Tomb to lower my speed, but luckily it doesn't do that, it misses, and now on the Flygon, I just use 1 return to deal way over 3/4 damage, and then even though it uses its own Earthquake, it's not enough for the knockout. And then on Altaria, I use a Sludge Bomb, I almost knocked it out, and even though it used Dragon Dance, it's not enough to outspeed. On the Kingdra, I use 1 Sludge Bomb, leave it in red health, and then that prompts Drake to use a full restore. That's fine, I would prefer you not use it on the Salamence. Speaking of Salamence, it gets sent out last. Intimidate cuts my attack, which is not that good. Sludge Bomb luckily still does half damage. So even though it got the Citrus Berry, the poison was actually able to bring it down low enough to where it is still a 2-hit, so I can definitely say with certainty, if I did not poison the Salamence, I would have lost that battle. This Drake fight would have been a lot harder if it weren't for that poison, so that was really clutch. It's a good thing Sludge Bomb has a high chance of poisoning in this game, compared to other moves. But with all that nerd talk out of the way, I teach Giga Drain to Arbok, which I got earlier because I caught myself in Oddish so I can get the TM, and then I can take on Wallace. He starts off with Wailord, and then I turn 1 use a Sludge Bomb. It almost knocks it out, but then it uses Water Spout, which does literally 6 damage. The reason it did that little is because its base power gets lower as you lose HP. It's like the opposite of Flail and Reversal. And then next up is the Gyarados. Sludge Bomb does over half, and then Earthquake does over half to me, which isn't good. And then on the Wish Cache, it has its own Earthquake, but guess what? That's what Giga Drain is for. I use it to completely heal up on the Wish Cache, and then next up is Tentacruel. I use one Earthquake to take it out in one single hit, because that thing is way weaker defensively than specially. So then on the Ludicolo, one Sludge Bomb takes it out, and then now is the Milotic. I use one Sludge Bomb, goes over half, get hit with Surf, and even though it used a Citrus Berry, I am able to take it out in 2 hits, and I finish the run with a real time of 2 hours, 38 minutes, and 56 seconds, with 27 resets at level 76, and a game time at the Hall of Fame of 6 hours and 9 minutes. Just take out the 0, then it'd be nice. You know, I will definitely say, Arbok definitely struggled where I thought it would, in places like Watson, Tate and Liza, Drake, but here's the thing, most Pokemon struggle at those fights anyway. So, in the other places, Arbok did really good. Its speed was just good enough to outspeed most Pokemon. I think I still would have outsped Drake's whole team, even if I got hit with a Rock Tomb from Shelgon. Like, this was really good. So let's see where that puts us on the leaderboard. And good news, guys, we actually made it in the top 3. It wasn't good enough to beat really good Pokemon like Starmie and Ivysaur, and it was barely faster than Skiploom. That honestly kind of makes me more upset now that I think about it, because Skiploom is a pretty bad Pokemon, and it was only a minute slower than Arbok. But that's usually because grass types tend to do pretty well in Hoenn, mostly because of all the water types. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. The next edited run will be Pokemon Crystal with Murkrow, and then after that, I will go back to doing those weekly polls so you all can decide what I use. Please like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed and you want to see more. Also be sure to follow my socials, such as my Discord server. You can support me on Patreon or YouTube memberships if you like. If you don't want to do any of that, just leave a like. Good enough for me. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.